Ladies and gentlemen, gamers of all ages, welcome to the first video update for Outlaws Last Man Standing, the Kickstarter. It's Tuesday, the 12th of September. My name's Jamie Johnson from Holy Grail Games, and I'm going to run you through the news and some of the frequently asked questions from the Kickstarter page this week. Enjoy! So, first of all, stretch goals, the most exciting part of any Kickstarter project. So far we've unlocked 6 new stretch goals, including 5 new characters, which brings us up to a total of 6 characters if you include the Pony Express, which was a Kickstarter exclusive. Now, a lot of you have been asking if the mini tokens for these new characters will be included in the box. The answer is yes, of course they will. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the mini tokens are the tiny portraits of each character that you'll be able to put in front of your opponent's cards. Now, what are these for? They're for people that like the strategic and bluffing element of the game, but aren't so hot on memory games, which is something we fully understand. So we put these little memory tokens in for you to place as you wish in front of your opponent's cards. Apart from that, there's no particular rules to them. They serve as a reminder. They could be, you could either get it right, you could get it wrong. Your opponent can even bluff, or you can bluff your opponent with them. It's up to you to see how you play, but it's primarily for those that don't enjoy the memory aspect of certain games. Now, as a small heads up, I mentioned we've unlocked 6 characters. As you now know, Outlaws is quite a strategic game, so we couldn't do just any old thing with the powers and try and cram as many characters in. Jeremy, the author, went through quite a few months of research to try and nail down some new characters, and these 6 that we now have already unlocked were the fruits of his research, shall we say. So just to give you a heads up that there aren't any new characters coming out as stretch goals. 6 should give you already a lot of replayability along with the 10 original ones. However, we do have plenty of other things coming up, including the new event cards, which we revealed today. Now, the event cards are a deck of cards that will be placed next to the supply, and the first player, at the start of their turn, every turn, they draw one of these cards face up, and that card has an effect. The card we revealed on the Kickstarter, for example, is the Law Dogs one, and that allows both players to recover a handcuff token if they'd already used one during the game, making sheriffs much more effective. Now, depending on the length of the game, you may go through a lot of these cards or very few. Some of them may be good, some of them may be bad, and not forcibly the same on different turns, if you see what I mean, depending on the position you're in the game and the exact effect that comes up. It may allow you to win the game, it might stall you from winning the game, it might flip the game round on its head. Who knows? There's plenty of things that can happen, and they're there just to add a little bit of extra spice and intrigue to the game. Of course, there's 4 in the Kickstarter now in the first stretch goal, but there will be more coming out as we progress, as well as other things such as the alternate art cards, like the one we've already seen from the Miko for the Sheriff. So, on to add-ons. Add-ons are additional items you can supplement your pledges with. For the moment there are 2 available, the Senator and the Governor pledge, so both 2 and 1 boxes respectively. The contents are exactly the same as the pledge levels, each box come with their own stretch goals. The reason we've done this is so that those of you that would like to do a group pledge or something along them lines can now do so, and you should be able to save a little bit of money on shipping. Now, shipping, something nobody likes to talk about in a Kickstarter, but we do need to address it at least a little bit. So, please know that we have done our absolute very best to get you the most cheapest, though I don't like to use that word, but at the same time most secure shipping available, because it's no good if you never actually get the package or if it arrives in pieces. So we've tried to strike the perfect balance between reliable and not too expensive. I'm pretty happy with what we've got, and if you do decide to get an add-on, know that each additional box should cost you around €3 extra per box. Now, that is for the US, Canada, and Europe. If you are from another country and would like a more precise postage quotation, please don't hesitate to contact us and we will get it for you. We've received a couple of messages concerning the quality of material in the box. Now, let's get something out there. Just because the game is fairly cheap, it doesn't mean we can say the same thing of the material. We put a lot of effort and a lot of research into making sure that the material in Outlaws was robust, gave you a good gaming experience, and generally just stood for everything Kickstarter should be used for. These cards, for example, all the punch board in the game in fact, is all 2mm thick, 250 gram, double varnished board. Now what this means is that when it's on the table, it has a nice hefty feeling to it. It doesn't fall over easily, which is kind of important in a game you're trying to hide your characters in. And at the same time is very robust and resistant to wear and tear. Now, why do I bring this up in particular? It's because some of you will no doubt have figured out that you have to deassemble these cards after every game. Now, that in itself is no big deal. There's one foot. I know there's a second insert here, but please bear in mind this is an earlier prototype I'm using. You have to insert the stand every game. This takes about 1 minute to do all 20 cards, so it's really not that big of a deal. We're fairly happy with it. Some people, however, were quite worried about the wear and tear it may cause along this part of the card. Now, the fit that we have, which went through a couple of tests to get just right, is tight enough so that the leg does not fall off during the game, but at the same time is easily removable and doesn't crush the cardboard underneath. This means that wear and tear, even though it will happen, I won't look you in the eyes and lie to you, every board game suffers wear and tear as you play it. However, we are very, very confident, after all the testing we've done, that the material we've chosen will allow your cards to last a long, long time. Now, to give you an order of how long, we had prototypes made for Gen Con and other events. It's been the same set of prototypes we've been using for about 3 or 4 months now. And out of all those events being handled, and sometimes not very delicately, by hundreds of gamers being assembled and disassembled at least 40 or 50 times, stored in a Ziploc bag in one of these boxes and thrown into a suitcase, which is in turn thrown into a plane, they are only just starting to show signs of wear and tear. And even then, it's generally in the parts the stand will cover up. Even on the ones where there is a slight showing of damage, it's so tiny you'd really have to look at the cards super close in order to see them. So at no point do we think that this would really damage your chances of playing a fair game of Outlaws. For those that don't know what I'm getting at, that means the chances that you would actually identify the card by the damage done to it. As long as you take care of your game, and that means you don't manhandle it too much yourself, we are very confident that all the work we put in to find the right material for nice, robust, long-living cards will pay off. So hopefully this reassures you about that point. If you do have any other questions, then the comment section is there for that, and the Kickstarter page. Please don't hesitate to let me know. I'm more than happy to talk about this subject. Speaking about material, tokens. Now, once again, 2mm, 250 gram double varnish tokens. When we originally started the project and were looking at materials, we wanted poker chips. Of course you did. It's a Western themed game. There's a certain gambling thematic to it. Of course we wanted poker chips. The only problem is that we wanted a game that was fairly cheap as well. So poker chips are a bit more expensive. And at the same time, we found that nice big tokens like this, that also had a nice maniability and this, for me, a very satisfying kind of, I can't get it right, clinking sound that you get from real poker chips. We found these were a very good compromise for the real thing, that at the same time gave you a good gaming experience, which is the most important thing, and added to the value of the game. Now, some of you have messaged us saying that you'd really like these poker chip tokens, and I'll be blunt, there is 2 problems to that. Mostly, it's pricing and then it's shipping, because poker chip tokens cost more, so that would make the box cost more. Hopefully, if the Kickstarter gets far enough, we may introduce these as stretch goals, as was our original plan and still is. Now, don't expect them straight away, because they will be a fairly late stretch goal, because we have to get up to quite a few copies in order to make them valid. However, they are in the works. Poker chip tokens are heavier than punchboard, understandably, which would increase the weight of the main box, which in turn increases shipping costs. So there is also that aspect which we took into account. And at the end of the day, we kind of wanted a cheaper and easier to ship box than what poker chip tokens will allow. Now, that being said, don't write them off. As I said, we have plans for them to be a stretch goal. However, we may also use them as an add-on. The only problem is, we come down to a problem of quantity. There is a minimum amount of these kind of things you can order, bearing in mind everything is produced in China. And so before really hitting that go button, we'd have to have a fairly good idea how many of those we'd be able to sell to you guys so as not to put the rest of the project into peril financially, and that's a very important aspect. So, and well, actually, now I think about it, this is exactly the same problem as the playmats. For those of you that haven't seen it, we have a playmat, a print and play playmat available for download on the Kickstarter page. Now, some people have printed it out, some people have looked at it, everybody finds it amazing, and we have received demands to ask if we're going to make it into a playmat. Now, the playmat has slightly different problematic in the sense that it's big, first of all, it's 80 by 80 centimeters. Now, if we were going to make a playmat out of it, we would reduce that considerably, no doubt down to something like 80 by 40 to actually make it easy to produce and store and ship. And secondly is the cost. Playmats are not cheap to produce, even in China. So you'd be looking at a stretch goal around the 8 to 10 euro mark, bearing in mind the game only costs 18. In our minds, it seemed very tricky to justify a 10 euro stretch goal which adds no playability or replayability to the game, just a gameplay element, which admittedly is very important, which is part of the experience. We just didn't know or didn't think it would interest enough people at that price for it to be a valid option, which is why we put it up on print and play. But, and this is the solution I put to you all backers, is we're going to ask you the question, simply put, on the Outlaws Last Man Standing Board Game Geek site, we're going to put a survey up. And basically in that survey, we'll ask you, does this interest you as a stretch goal? Would you not want to pay for it? Would you pay for it at this price? Head over there and give us your answers. You can also comment in the link below and we can discuss it, but bearing in mind, we'll mostly be using the BGG data to make our final decision, shall we say. If it turns out enough people are interested, why the hell not? I'm all for adding more stuff to this game. I do love this game. I want to see it shine. I want to see it come out in the best possible way, but it has to be valid and it mustn't put the rest of the project in peril, which I'm sure you can all appreciate. So that's my solution to that problem. I hope that suffices. Like I said, let us know in the comments below. If you think the survey is a good idea, it will be up by the time this video hits. So please head over to BGG and give us your opinion and we'll see what happens. So once again, I think I've run through everything for this week. I'll be back next week with more questions and answers. Please continue to use the comment section, the BGG forums, the Trick Track forums for our French backers. Bonjour to all of you. And I will see you soon. Thank you very much and have a good week. Ciao.